All right, my first claim is QAnon is a baseless conspiracy theory. There's no evidence of a global cabal of Satan-worshipping, child-trafficking elites that control everything.
My issue is with the claim in and of itself, right? The fact that QAnon may be baseless then means that there is no child trafficking ring going on. That's akin to saying that the Easter Bunny is not real, therefore there was no conspiracy to hide Biden mental decline.
Before we proceed, there's definitely horrible child sex trafficking rings that exist in the U.S. Sure. I just think that pedophilia is a pervasive problem among all crests of society. I just think that the rich have an easier time covering it up because they can pay for lawyers and they have money to keep people quiet.
That in and of itself is a conspiracy that you just described.
Well, then I'm a conspiracy theorist, I guess. You know, I just don't think it's limited specifically to an unnamed, anonymous class of baby-eating elites.
Well, let's say the NGOs that are unnamed, right? We have humans being trafficked in migrant camps going all across Mexico. Somebody pays for that, whether it's NGOs, whether it's the UN.
Yeah.
We have pedophile rings that we know have been exposed throughout the Catholic Church. It's hard to get more elite than the Vatican. Right. Then you have people that are hiding, obviously, what's going on with Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell. So the idea that because we don't know who the tip of the spear is, or that the cobra hasn't shown its head, means that there's no cabal behind the scenes. Somebody is coordinating this. Now, let me put it this way. I wish that there was as much scrutiny being applied to the evidence that we have and that we've presented than there is to the conspiracy theorists that are presenting the evidence, right?
Definitely.
Like, a conspiracy theorist to me is a derogatory claim for people that don't trust establishment narrative, right? But the establishment has done everything they possibly can do to discredit themselves.
And I think that the establishment had a hand in creating QAnon. I think it's the sole biggest driving force and making all...
Careful, Andrew. That sounds like a conspiracy theory.
I'm just saying, it's like, if you think about this, right? Like, we know with the Epstein stuff, there were underage sex trafficking rings that existed, right? Now, think about this logical digression from that. And they're eating babies to get adrenochrome so they can be immortal. So think about how different those things are.
I hear you. And that's disproving the existence of one by continuing to, it's what we call searching for the falsehood, right? So something can't be true because 3 steps down the line, something is untrue.
I think
that
the first
doesn't
thing
mean
is
the
true.
first thing is true.
Yeah.
We can agree that there are children being trafficked.
Yes.
We can agree that it seems to be some sort of systemic, industrialized component to this child trafficking, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So then somebody has to pay for that. Somebody has to organize that. Somebody with means, somebody that could be, I don't know, classified as an elite. And that could be an elite child conspiracy, right? To traffic children.
Could be a cartel middleman with a bunch of money, man.
And listen, what I would say is this. What people that trust establishment, not that you're one of them, what I wish that they understood is that we agree with them in that I hope I'm wrong. Like, the establishment wants me to be wrong, and I want me to be wrong. I don't want there to be children being trafficked. And I don't want our government, our taxpayer dollars, having anything to do with it. But I think that a conspiracy theorist used to be called an investigative journalist. We have questions. And I think that those questions deserve to be answered. And I think that that's the issue here. When people say, no, there's no list, stop asking questions, move on. Well, then we feel like we should ask some more questions.
Yeah, and I feel like that's got to be less than 10% of the population who says there's no list, let's move on.
Yeah,
I think right now is probably the first time where you see like leftists and conservatives coming together to demand accountability from the government.
No doubt about it.
And I think that QAnon was probably a psyop in of itself by Steve Bannon, Miles Kuo, a variety of strange actors that work with the Watkins family and 8chan to basically discredit people from actually putting the target where it should have been, which is right in front of our faces. The richest people in the world, most of them you can look their name up. Not saying there isn't people who are just random rich financiers that are anonymous, but we can see, you can look at companies like BlackRock, Vanguard. You can look up online. We all have iPhones, right? Apple, these major social media platforms have CEOs. The Saudis, the richest people in the world are operating in plain sight. And so I feel like when you aim the target at this unnamed, mysterious cabal of people eating babies in the hills, you're basically creating a thing that doesn't exist to convince people to look in the wrong direction.
But who is doing that, right? Like you said, we can look up the richest people in the world, but we're everyday people. We have jobs, we have things that we're supposed to be focusing on that are outside the realm of information finding. We don't have the time to go through all of the different NGOs that these people have created to hide themselves from this. This is the job of journalists. This is the job of our media. Unfortunately, our media has been captured by these same elites that you're talking about, not to bring up another conspiracy theory here, right? But this is what used to be the fourth estate, right? We used to be able to trust journalists to get to the bottom of it so that we, the plumber, didn't have to spend our weekends digging through tax files to be like, oh my God, did George Soros really get $270 million from USAID?
Yeah.
That's not what we planned on doing, right? This was your job. And now the conspiracy theory is anybody that doesn't trust the establishment narrative. They have made us distrust our neighbor and trust the government. They have made us look at each other from a veil of the citizen doesn't have privacy, but the government deserves privacy. This is a matter of national security.
Right.
Well, if it's a matter of national security that we can't know who was selling children, then I think they've answered the question.
I think
Who's selling?
I think the Epstein thing is probably like the biggest potential breakthrough into dismantling some of those blackmail networks that have kept so much of the media and government compliant. But the thing is, whenever people stop trusting the mainstream narrative, which overall I think is a good thing, it makes way for an entire vacuum.
Give me real quick. Sorry to cut you off. Which is a good thing? Distrusting the mainstream narrative or trusting
when
it?
people stop trusting the mainstream narrative and do their own research, generally that's a good thing. However, that creates a vacuum where people who are even less reliable can fill the void with just different stuff.
But that's okay though, because information is cleansing. Sunlight is cleansing. But best part about the conspiracy community, and I didn't start as a conspiracy theorist. I'm a guy that trusts the government. USA, baby. But as you pull at these threads, you start realizing the government has lied to us over and over and over again.
Hell yeah.
Hey, good job, man.